Regardless of the years in between, oh, can you hear me now? Yeah. I was asking how old you were when you left Detroit. Regardless of the years that have passed between then, the time that you were young in Detroit is visceral. And it's shaped you into the rock stars that each of you are. It's the Detroit in your veins that makes you you. Returning to Detroit may have a cognitive dissonance. In some ways, it's always your city, the street names, the hustle, the feel, the vibe, the hard-won honor of calling yourself a Detroiter. And yet, the Detroit of today is a different city. It's a newer city with new voices, new ideas, and new ways of claiming Detroit for oneself. At the Skillman Foundation, we spend our time, we spend our money, we spend all of our resources investing in the utopic concept of Detroit that is created for and by its youngest visionaries. What's their Detroit? How has growing up here shaped them into being the rock stars they already are? Today we have 3 young Detroiters who are going to share with us their insights and their experiences. These young people are designing the future of Detroit, and they're building on this city's very rich cultural, entrepreneurial, and activist history to bring us somewhere new. And while the panelists I'm going to introduce shortly are exceptional, they're not the exception. There are brilliant, visionary young people all across this city. How many of you have Gen Zers in your life? Raise your hand. A lot of you. They are born between 1997 and 2012. I've talked about Gen Z from this stage a little bit last year, but they're responsible for leading the largest uprisings that have happened in our nation's history. And last year, the Gen Z vote turnout in Michigan set records across the country. They bring to the fore a systemic analysis that is really intersectional, that braids climate justice and education justice and racial justice and gender fluidity, and they believe in a world that really works for everyone and that the change in that world starts with themselves. At Skillman, we have a President's Youth Council, and the young people, 3 of them are just a few that are part of the Youth Council this year and the inaugural Youth Council, and some of them are in the audience, and some of them, you saw King, who was on the stage with Kem on the opening night. The Youth Council has invested $200,000 in Detroit since August of this year. And this is on top of the innumerable ways that they invest their own intellectual currency and time and talent into changing the game. So let's meet them. Welcome Shamere Duncan. Shamere is a Renaissance High School graduate. She's 19. She's a sophomore at Wayne State University. When Shamere was 17, she founded her own nonprofit, the Black Initiative 313. It's a service-based organization that engages people in volunteering. She recently finished writing her first book, which is called Passion to Purpose, and she gives young adults the power to really take their passion, put it into action and purpose. And her personal brand is She's So Detroit, which is perfect. You can find her on Instagram, and nothing could be more fitting. Shamere was an intern this summer with the city of Detroit. They have now created a position that Shamere has become a full-time employee working for the city. Next, I want to introduce Khyiana Tate. Khyiana is a 19-year-old sophomore at Madonna University. Kai created the book Signing with Kai, which she is actually selling in the lobby if you want to learn sign language after. She created these pieces after experiencing a lack of Black representation in American Sign Language books. She also co-founded a pop-up deaf restaurant called Crystal's Place, is a Spirit of Detroit award winner, and volunteers at her former elementary school working with deaf students. She provides mental health awareness for deaf and hard of hearing youth and families. Welcome, Kai. And last but not least, we have Kady Robinson-Larsosa. Kady is 15. She is a sophomore at Marygrove High School. Kady and her sisters have a social media platform with 250,000 followers. She's a model, she's a performer, she's dedicated to uplifting the beauty and brilliance of Black girls. She's appeared in ad campaigns for Verizon Wireless, Sheen, Detroit Public School Community District, and is also very active in her neighborhood and community. So we are going to get into it. Welcome the panelists again. Okay, so you are speaking to a powerful room of people, and you are powerful people. So what do you want to tell them about the Detroit that you embody and the reason you invest so much of your energy and time in this city? I'm going to ask each of you to answer this one. Shamere, do you want to go first?
Of course.
Let's see. Keep talking.
Testing.
Can you hear?
Okay, awesome. So hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. And to your question, Angelique, the city that we are shaping, it's very youthful. It's very youth engaged. It's very youth powerful. I come from a space where I just feel as though Detroit has given me so much as a young person, and I just feel that it's in my duty and my diligence to be able to give that back to my city. So many important people in my life from Detroit have really worked hard to make sure that I understood the potential that I had and what I could really give to the city. And I believe that's why I'm so tapped into my side of service and community, and just being open-minded to what young people like ourselves up here can do for the city of Detroit. And so if you want to know what we're shaping, it's a space where it's unified, where young people and our elders, we can come together and we can share ideas, and we can put those ideas to the test to create a city that we all envision.
Thank you, Shamere. Kady, what would you say?
I would say, you can hear me from where I too?
Can you all hear Kady? Yeah, okay.
So I would say the Detroit that we are creating, I want to add on to what Shamere was saying, because I really agree with the youth aspect. I also wanted to go into the financial aspect of what Detroit is embodying. For example, NFL draft is about to be held in Detroit, and that's about to bring a lot of income and a lot of travelers to come back to Detroit. A lot of people that have left Detroit and now are coming back. And also, Detroit is a majority Black city, and we have the opportunity to create, we have the opportunity to create an example for people to see justice in our city, because we have a high concentration of Arab Americans in our city, and we also have a growing number of Latinx community in our city too. So if people can see us and see that, oh my gosh, there's a lot of Black people who are here and a lot of other diverse groups, we can show them the racial justice that is needed for all cities across America.
Thank you. Thank you, Kady. Kai, tell us about the Detroit of your dreams and the Detroit you embody and why.
Hello everyone. My name is Khyiana Tate, and the vision that I see for the city of Detroit, give me 1 second.
Can everybody hear?
Yes.
I would like everyone to be aware of our deaf and hard of hearing community. Awareness. That's what I would like to see and embody in the city of Detroit.
Thank you. So actually, I'm going to stay with you, Kai. You have taken this on as a personal crusade to let people actually know more about the deaf community. And you've been really entrepreneurial about it. There are 3 books that are in the lobby for sale.
Yes, Signing with Kai, and the business with the pop-up.
Oh,
the pop-up.
The pop-up restaurant?
The pop-up, I'm so sorry, the interpreter error. Pop-up restaurant with Crystal's Place, and then that is to bring awareness to deaf and hard of hearing people, making sure that deaf and hard of hearing people are together to eat and teach hearing people how to sign. I have volunteered at the Tigers game to make sure that we had Deaf Awareness Day there. The important thing we want to make sure happens is that communication happens between hearing people and deaf people. And so bringing that awareness to all to make sure that accessibility happens. And I enjoy it because my family, we all sign together. And so teaching my little brother and my little sister how to sign has been a joy, and teaching others as well.
Thank you. You know, I'll say that having Kai as part of the Youth Council has been really educational for all of us. We were able to actually have her teach us and some of the interpreters best practices of how to interact with deaf people, as well as some, you know, I said to her this morning, like, I've been practicing, like, I'm learning, we're ready. So actually for all of us to learn more about how we can communicate with others is such a gift. So thank you for that, Kai. Okay, Shamere, Black Initiative 313. She's so Detroit. Now working, which department are you working in the city?
Department of Neighborhoods.
The Department of Neighborhoods. Where did it come from? Like, where did this all start for you?
Okay, so honestly, I've always been like a super community-driven individual, someone who always just wanted to just lend a helping hand to wherever I could. But it really started my love for my city and just my inspiration and wanting to make a difference in my city. It started in February of 2021. As you mentioned in my bio, my cousin, who I call brother, was in a drive-by shooting in Detroit. And he happened to be the only one to survive. And we were 17 years old at the time. And being a witness to something like that was very much so traumatic. And it really took a toll on my heart, because I look like we're 17, and this is happening to people my age, like my peers, like my friends. We're losing each other. So what was it that I could do as a young person to grow my community, to bring my community together? And so that's where it started. That's where my passion for impacting my community, impacting young people, and just providing all that I can to Detroit. It started from that situation, seeing that happen, that tragedy and that experience, which furthered my purpose and my passion and everything that I have to offer, which led me to the Skillman Foundation, now where I serve on the President's Youth Council, and we get a chance to really tap into what community service is and what philanthropy is, and that philanthropy is not just about money. It's about what can you do in the field to actually make an impact on people, to actually touch people, to actually love on people. So that's where it started.
Ooh-wee. Ooh. I'll tell you, Shamere, in one of our first meetings, she's like, can we start a group me without the Skillman staff people and like just have the young people, and they have their own meetings, they make their own plans, we'll like set it up for them and then moonwalk away, and they have like everything that they have going on. I want to remind you to use the Slido app. This is how tech savvy I am. But if you have any questions for them, we're going to take a few questions from the audience. Okay, Kady, I said this when I introduced her. I don't know if this sunk in. 250,000 followers, 250,000 followers with your sisters, and you guys, this is serious. I mean, I was asking you, I was like, how do you find all the cool stuff on TikTok? And you're like, we research, you know. We learn the dances, we practice. And so this isn't like light thing that you fell into, you're really intentional about it, and you're really intentional about the messages that you put out. You are always very thoughtful, you are always very generous and kind and uplifting and positive. This is online, this is offline too. This is how you are in all of our meetings. But where did this come from? I mean, I know your mom is here, so that must be part of it. But where does it come from? And tell us more about this world.
So it comes from like our goal. Our goal is to uplift and bring the brilliance and beauty of Black people to our page and just in real life. Like in school, I will uplift my friends to participate in class, of course, as I'm a sophomore. And online, I just want people to be able to come to our page and find inspiration in what we do, like in positivity. That's why we try to embody positivity in everything that we do. Because as a dark-skinned Black girl, I want to make sure that I am setting a standard for people, because colorism and just stereotypes that are inflicted upon dark-skinned girls, it doesn't help. For example, like growing up, people may tell jokes about me and my skin complexion. Like, if you're my skin complexion, y'all know what those jokes are, those colorist jokes, and they can be very, very hurtful. But when those types of girls come to our platform, I want them to be able to feel heard and inspired by us.
Thank you. Thank you. I want you guys to tell the audience what people don't know about Detroit young people. Kai, will you start us off?
Can you repeat your question, please?
Sure. Tell us what people do not know about Detroit young people. What do they need to know that they don't know?
What people need to know is that no matter our background, Black, young, deaf, hard of hearing, we're here. We're able to do different things, especially our deaf and hard of hearing individuals. We're not limited by our deafness. We can communicate, we can work, we can drive. We need more opportunities for deaf children, especially Black deaf children and youth. Please invite us in, give us opportunities. We don't want to leave the city because we don't have opportunities, so provide those opportunities so we can thrive.
Kady, what do people need to know about Detroit young people?
I think people need to know about Detroit young people is we know what we want, and we just want you to be able to back us up. Like, we have ideas, and we just want to be able to be heard by you all. Like, for example, what you're doing right now, you're listening to young people right now. And if you can be able to connect with us and just give us the resources that we need to create change into our environment, then we will be most definitely grateful to you, and we obviously respect all of you. And thank you so much for coming, too.
I'm going to elaborate a little bit and piggyback on Kady's point that Detroit's youth are here. And we are here to definitely provide all that we can to the city of Detroit and to our communities. And just as Kady said, we need to have the space, a welcoming space, to be able to come into that room or take a seat at that table and say, like, hey, this is our idea and this is what we can provide to this space. Not only that, but young people are so fresh, so new, so just filled with so much ambition and so much potential that I often look at my peers and I say, like, step out, get your name out there, and do what you need to do as a young person to make sure that you are included in the spaces that you want to be included in. Because my main thing with my peers and just young people in general is making sure they know that they can self-advocate for themselves. Like being able to say, hey, like I have an idea and I know that my idea is a good idea and that I want you to hear it. And I can say that from Skillman, like going to Skillman, we had a design session with the Department of Neighborhoods, which is what really geared me into getting the position. And in that instance, I knew that just working with Ray Solomon, who's the director of Department of Neighborhoods, I knew that this city really, really cared about our ideas, because having the director of Department of Neighborhoods come in, sit down, and listen to us, young people, advise them and tell them all the things that we just didn't agree with or that we didn't like about the city or the things that we just wanted to see. And they were like, we're gonna take your ideas and we're gonna do something with it. And so that's kind of how I landed and got pulled into that space and that role, was like them opening the door. And opening the door for young people allows so many other great things to come from them. Allowing young people to know that that you see them, that you see what they're doing, you see the impact, you see how hard they are working to really, really provide for not only themselves, but their communities.
Thank you. Thank you. Shamere is referencing a project that we did last year called Gen Z Design Sessions, where we invited any organization or business that wanted to actually hear from Gen Zers about something relevant, like a core issue that they were struggling with. And we were so surprised by so many different folks that stepped up to participate: the City of Detroit, the Pistons, Chambers of Commerce, Detroit Horsepower. They came and they sat with our youth council and others, life leaders. You heard from Amy, a lot of the life leaders participated. And, you know, they changed. They listened and they took in the information, they changed. Which reminds me, sometimes people don't invite young people in because there's like a stereotype, which, you know, sometimes may or may not be true, which is like, oh, young people, they just want to be heard. But they don't really want to listen, they don't really want to work, they want to be promoted, they want to be the boss, they want to be meow meow. So what would you, and Shamere, I see you laughing, but Kady, what would you say about that? Then I'm going to go to Kai and then I'll go to you, Shamere.
I feel like it could be the different type of people that you're choosing to connect with. Like for us, we are, obviously, you see me here listening to Angelique, what she has to say, Shamere, what she has to say, nodding my head, and just intensively listening. You have to give people the opportunity to show you otherwise. Like, you can't just have these stereotypes of youth and then not try to give them the chance to prove you wrong. Because why are you creating these stereotypes against us in the first place, you know? Like, try to give us the opportunity to show you that what we can do and what we are striving to do. Because if we have an idea, we want to be able to accomplish what we are trying to set out to do. Like, we're not just gonna have an idea and just randomly be like, yeah, I'm not gonna listen to what they have to say because I'm right. Like, we want to know, like, how can we develop this idea, and we want the resources to be able to develop the idea, and we want to hear from you all.
Yes.
Thank you. Kai, what's your response?
Sorry, I'm so tongue-tied right now. So I like when people would come and ask for permission and give us opportunity, right? And not just assume. Conversation and conversing and communication is important. And so being open to that to make sure that that happens. Like, for example, what was that? Come on. I'm sorry, it's the interpreters, it's not Kai. Again, I'm sorry, it's the interpreters that just lost track and that made Kai lose track. So I apologize for that. It is not Kai, it's me. got you. So one of the things that I experience with dealing with individuals is people who, with my books that I have, they are taking information that I have and not giving me credit for it. And so that is disrespectful, and I'm not understanding why people don't respect the fact of coming to me and asking for permission before they take my likeness and republish it or post it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for taking the time to make sure that we understood that, because that's a big point. Shamere, what do we need to understand about young people?
We need to understand that, yes, young people may, come into a space and they may feel as though, they have it all together and that their idea is the idea that needs to be. But I feel as though as adults and elders, that's where you all come in and you say like, hey, I see your idea, I see where you're going with it, and you just be someone who this young person can look to for resources, for advice, for really anything they need to just push whatever initiative it is that they want to push out. Young people have a ton of ideas, a ton of ambition, a ton of potential, and they just want the space to be able to express that, to share that, and get support on that. So if you ever have a young person that's coming to you with an idea, whether it's in your nonprofit, your business, your company, listen to them. Like, young people they want to be heard. They do, they want to be heard. And I think that when you listen to us, we listen to you. And oftentimes I think that we walk into spaces like our parents, right? I mean, our parents are always telling us what to do all the time. And so we deal with that at home, right? And that's fine, those are our parents. But sometimes when we're out in the community and we're out in the real world and we're trying to push ideas and push these initiatives, it feels good to know that there are other people outside of our comfort zone of our families who will want to be able to hear and support whatever it is that a young person is coming to them with.
Thank you. I'm going to ask one last question and ask you to answer it really quickly. First, I have to say, Shamere, you have a former Renaissance high school teacher who's living in DC who's come back and is in the audience and is so proud of you. And so,
thank you.
And lots of compliments for how you all are so impressive. What is one word that represents what the President's Youth Council means to you? And this person also thanks you for having the courage to design change. One word about, and not even as much about Skillman's President's Youth Council, but like having the authority to design change. What does that mean to you? One word, and then we'll close.
Start with me?
Let's start with you and we'll move down the line.
Empowering.
Empowering. Kai, one word about what it means to affect change for you.
Awareness of deaf people.
Awareness. Kady, bring us home.
I would say inspirational.
Thank you. This is the future of Detroit.